All right. Here's one more way we can compare those leaps on a horn to another instrument. Listen for the sounds and see what the patterns look like, or if there are any patterns. So what we have here is a keyboard for an electric piano or electric organ. And what you can see, these rows of black and white things, those are called keys. That's why it's a keyboard. They're black and white, different colors, just so we can tell them apart. Black and white means nothing other than that. They are raised up a little bit and set back, these black keys. That makes it easier to play with our hands, and it makes it easy for us to see the patterns. Now, this is designed hundreds of years ago to be played by your fingers. So this is actually quite digital. Your fingers are known as digits. Each key is designed to be played with a digit, your fingers. This is as digital as we could get. Anyhow, the patterns, like I say, are easy to see with the black keys. We start here on this side. There are 2 black keys and then 3. 2 and then 3. 2 black keys and then 3 again. So of course this adds up to 5. It matches our hands. Pattern of 5, pattern of 5, pattern of 5, and so on. The white keys tell us nothing by looking at them. No real pattern, just white keys go on and on and on. So we sort of have to listen to these and see if there is a difference. The black keys, oh, let's make that a little louder. Might sound familiar, but not really a song that you recognize. If we do the next pattern, it'll sound the same. These notes are going faster, but it's the same pattern. Start on the next pattern, and so on. Now the white keys are quite recognizable. Add 1 note there. So that's do, re, mi. Do, re, mi, fa, sol, la, ti, do. You'll notice a slight difference here. Now that black key, the pattern ends right there. The white key ends 1 note there, and it wants 1 more to complete that, yes? It's not satisfying without that. It will be the same when you do the next pattern. Just like on the black keys, this continues. You may have noticed, you may not have noticed, from the first note of any one pattern to the first note of the next one, that's the fundamental leap that the horn makes, that very first jump. The hunt is on. Remember that? Or, pardon my singing, somewhere over the rainbow. Yes? Boy, I can't sing over the rainbow. So, the fundamental leap covers 1 pattern. That's all we really need to see there. The next leap is going to start on the top of that first one. And that's the learning song. There we go. Twinkle, twinkle, little star, how I wonder. Or A, B, C, D, E, F, G, and so on. Now this only takes us partially through that second pattern though. You notice, yeah? Does not go all the way. The next leap will start here, and that's the lullaby. Taps, the prayer. And the top note of this one is the first note of the next pattern. Fundamental leap. Next leap, the learning song. And then the next leap is the prayer. Okay, that's as far as we're going today. There are many more leaps that the horns make, but we haven't got time to cover all that. Just a couple little items make sure you're educated properly. The name of this first pattern is a major scale, do, re, mi, or properly speaking, this is called an octave because there are 8 notes on the white keys. 7, 8. Okay, so it's an octave here, an octave there. Anywhere we go, the first note of one pattern to the first note of the next pattern is an octave. Okay, that's what it's called. You also might have wondered why these patterns are evenly spaced. When we did this with the guitar, you may recall the fundamental leap. Pardon my guitar playing. In that case, we broke the string or stopped the string halfway, yeah, and it makes that fundamental leap. If we want to do it again, we'll have to go halfway, and then the next pattern will be halfway. You can see they're getting too close together. Our fingers will run into each other, and it won't work. So what's missing with our picture right here is the other side of the instrument. We have nice digital electronics here. It makes things more digital, but they don't show us anything. So what should be on this side would be a piano with strings or an organ with pipes. Allow me. So when you go to look behind or inside a real piano or organ, what you will see will be patterns that resemble harps. Triangular in shape, roughly, long strings on one side and working toward shorter strings on the far side. In an organ, those would be pipes instead of strings. And they're not quite like Valerie, like a horn. They're played more like a whistle or a flute, not with the lips. But the principles are the same. And you know this already, the longer strings are going to vibrate slower. So they play what we call low notes, actually slow vibrations, yeah? Low note, slow note. In the middle, it's in between. And then the short strings play really fast vibrations. What we call high notes, actually fast notes, yes? Now the connection is one-on-one. For any key that you hit on the keyboard, there will be one string on the piano that will be activated or played, or the other way around. If you want to play the fundamental note for any one of these strings, you hit the correct key on the piano. Either way, it's a one-on-one connection. Interesting thing about these instruments, though, especially the strings, can be designed so they play just the fundamental note. For that length of the string, that thickness, and the tension, they play a perfect fundamental note. They don't mess around with doing a half or a third or a fourth like the guitars, or leaps like horns. One key, one string, one fundamental note. So, how does Valerie fit into this? A Valerie is a wind instrument. The pipes or the tubes that Valerie is made of are equivalent to a string. The air inside these will match one of those fundamental notes on the piano, on the organ. Well, Valerie likewise is sort of curved here. If we uncoiled her and stretched her out, she'd be a little over 6 feet long. For an air column of that length, this thickness and shape, and then the tension I will put on it with my lips, Valerie can match one of the fundamental notes on that piano. So can your ear. Believe it or not, there's a tiny membrane in our ears called the basilar membrane. It functions so much like harps. A couple hundred years ago, a theory was developed, the harp theory, to explain how we hear. Now, that was a few hundred years ago. Science has moved on. But the basilar membrane is still there. And of course, this is not a pretty instrument like a harp. It's part of a living creature, you. So there's bone and fluid and muscle and stuff like that. And I am ignorant in this case, but we will say for the purposes of our show, within your ear there is a strand that will pick up the vibrations of that long string or from a 6-foot air column of Valerie. This is a tiny little strand. It's not 6 feet long, or you would have noticed us dragging behind you for a few years. So, we told you we can get anywhere with Valerie. Well, it started off with resonant frequencies through the media, fundamental note, fundamental leap, string theory, digital, analog. This is just the menu. We haven't visited any of these places yet, but we will. As far as the harp in paradise goes, we are working on that. It will probably take a long time, but we'll get right on it. Take heart.